Hi guys, we're back again with another ICW, and today we have Dr. Tara. Dr. Tara is a professor of relational and sexual communication at Cal State University. She's featured in Cosmo and Women's Health and recently gave a really great TED Talk titled Become Sexually Powerful, highlighting her 5,000 participant study examining factors that predict sexual satisfaction. Since February is the month of love, she's here to share a few tips with us on how to strengthen sexual confidence with ourselves and with our partners. Hi, Tara.
Hi.
I'm so glad that you have time to join us today.
I am honored to be here.
And I see the sex is normal in the back. It's so cute.
Yes, because sex is normal.
Tara and I met, I don't know, was it 10 years ago? 11?
At least.
Yeah, 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And she was always this really grounded, solid, confident, nurturing person. No, really, when I met you, I remember at Robert's house, and I was just like, she's quiet, but she has this like really strong and solid energy, you know, about you. And you were very nurturing, very helpful, and it just felt so good to be around you. And we reconnected again, actually 2-3 years ago through Ginny.
Yes.
So I'm grateful for you, Ginny, for reconnecting me and Tara. And how have you been? I know that in the past few years, you've excelled tremendously in your teachings, and you became a TED Talker. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a really awesome couple of years.
Yeah.
It's been great. Yeah, I found my place. I'm a professor at Cal State University Fullerton. I teach sexual communication and relational communication, which is really the most important thing, communication in sex and relationships. And then I started my podcast. I launched my sexual mindfulness ebook. And really just embodying the sexually confident woman that I know I wanted to be. And now I am. And I talk about this in my TED Talk too. Like when I first came to the United States in my early 20s, I was a very much sexually anxious person. I just don't show it in like a typical social situations. But whenever it comes to the bedroom or whenever things get like heated up, I would get very anxious about what's going to happen. What do I look like? What am I going to do? So all of those negative thoughts start like pouring into my head, and that was my normal.
Oh, so sexually anxious and sexually confident, like how do you define the difference? I guess sexually anxious, like to me, I'm thinking like being more timid and doubtful. Is that what you meant?
Sexual anxiety is this nervous energy that comes up when you are dealing with anything related to sex. It doesn't even have to be the sex itself. It can even be like a conversation about sex or the anticipation of having sex with someone. Sexual anxiety, and it really is a culprit of having a great sex, because when you experience sexual anxiety as a woman, it stops you from the ability to enjoy pleasure
and really explore yourself and the partner.
It is a problem. Yeah.
And you know that actually I have a question. So do you think people are usually sexually anxious in the beginning, and then as they get more comfortable with the partner, they can become really confident, or is that not a thing?
That's a great question. So sexual anxiety can be situational or trait. Trait as in it's a part of you.
Yeah.
Right. So if it's situational, maybe you get like a little bit anxious before you have sex the first time, or maybe the first few times with the new partner. That's completely normal. Obviously, whenever we approach a new situation, and be it like going for a job interview, trying a new sport, or having sex with someone for the first time, it's normal to have situational sexual anxiety. But if that anxiety is consistent, if it's consistent, and if it stops you from enjoying pleasure for a long period of time.
So how did you go from that to all of a sudden be like, okay, this is not working out for me or anyone else, so I'm going to change, and this is what I'm going to do?
So ever since I started dating, I've always been like a serial monogamist. So I would get into one relationship and then another and then another. And in most of these relationships, I've had sex with my partner, right? And I would say there were countable times that I actually truly enjoyed it. Yeah, and a lot of times it's really not their fault. It's
Mhm.
because I always say sex is 70% you, 30% your
Hmm.
partner. In my 20s, I always thought, who is the common denominator in all of this? Yeah, I started realizing like, in these relationships, in my like, sexual encounters, I'm the person that was uncomfortable. I'm the person that didn't really know what I truly wanted, what I truly liked. So I started realizing, I'd say like after 25, 26 years old, like, okay, this needs to change, because I was watching an episode of Sex in the City, and I think it was Samantha Jones, just, being herself and just being this like confident woman, like always having pleasure with anyone she
And
wants.
lots of sexual chemistry around her.
Yeah,
And she created it.
she created it. Like you
Yeah.
can create your reality, I mean, to a certain point. So I realized like, how can I become more like Samantha Jones and less like this sexually anxious girl that I am?
Mm.
I started researching more. I started reading articles, reading research studies, conducting my own studies, and really do a lot of those sexual mindfulness practices.
What's sexual mindfulness practice?
So sexual mindfulness is the ability to be completely present during a sexual encounter. And that can be also like sexual encounter, right? Like doing self-love when you're playing with yourself, for example.
Yeah.
So how can you become this person who is 100% completely consumed in a sexual situation and enjoy this pleasure thoroughly without having busy minds, without having that blockage in your body? How can you become this person? And through my research, I found that sexual mindfulness practices are extremely powerful in empowering women to become a much more sexually confident person, as well as creating more sexual desire. And there are experimental studies that show that it works.
So I was just thinking, sexual mindfulness practice with for somebody who's sexually anxious, would it look like something that's like, for example, when they're in the bedroom under the sheets with a partner, or when they're by themselves, as they're feeling pleasure, but the negative thoughts start coming into their head. For example, oh, I gained weight. Oh, this and that. Oh, I shouldn't do this. Oh, how do I look like? And then they're comparing themselves with, I don't know, maybe like porn stars or something, or like IG models and all that stuff. Like, I feel like those are the blockages. And then how do you recommend these people to like overcome these things one by one?
That's a 100% a big problem that I hear from a lot of women is number one is body image, and number two is like negative self-talk. And so when it comes to mindfulness, a lot of the sexual mindfulness practices is you cultivate it alone. So when you have alone time, quiet time, and you want to cultivate this like inner feeling of peace, as well as this sexual confidence, like accepting and celebrating your sexuality and your sexual energy, there are three things that I do. One is journaling. And I journal every single day, but I do like a thankful journal to be really thankful and grateful of like what I have and the social connections in my life and my body and my health, all of that. But I also do one sentence of sexual journaling. Right?
What does that look like?
For example, like last night we had amazing sex, or this morning I masturbated and it was wonderful. Right? Like I remind myself that like being sexual and engaging in sexual activities is normal. Journal about like my body, for example. I write like, I have a great ass. But it's a practice, right? Like journaling allows you to like self-reflect and examine like your thoughts and your feelings and your body, for example.
And just really transform all these negative self-talk that come into our heads from time to time to positive affirmations.
Yes, which is my second point. What I do every single day, no lie, is sexual affirmations. So this is a part of my morning routine.
I learned about that in your podcast. Yes, look in the mirror.
It is. It is. And it's true. I truly do. I'm in the bathroom, going through my skincare, then brush my teeth. And then I look at myself and I'm like, you're an amazing lover.
Ooh, I
or
love that.
or you look super
Yeah.
sexy, or like, go get it, girl. Like you know, like you're amazing. You have great sexual
Mhm.
energy. Like go get it, go express yourself.
And
you
that
know?
really boosts, I think, a person's confidence, esteem, and the sexual confidence in general.
Totally. Yeah. And it sounds silly because a lot of people have told me, like, do you really do that? As in, like, wow, that's silly. I
No,
don't
you
think
should
it
try
is.
it.
I think, yeah, you should really try it. I think a lot of people perhaps need to be a little bit more open-minded in the methods of
Yes.
happiness. Like, what can you do to feel good
Mhm.
today? And that's what I do. And I highly recommend everybody do it. Like, it sounds silly at the beginning. And even when you do it at the beginning, I have had my clients or my students told me, like, yeah, I giggle a little because I'm like, this is weird. But if you
Becomes
stick
a
to it,
habit and be
it
consistent with
becomes a
it, it
habit.
really
Like,
changes you.
I know I am an amazing lover because I tell myself that every day, and my partner tells me that.
And last night just confirmed it.
Total this morning.
Oh, sorry, this morning and this morning. Totally
Totally.
cracked me up. Oh my God, it's getting hot in here.
Oh yeah, it gets hot anywhere I go.
So Tara, you also talked about sexual meditation before.
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
So that's a part of my sexual mindfulness practices is I journal, I do positive sexual affirmations, and then I do sexual meditation.
Mhm.
I meditate every day, at least 5 minutes.
Mhm.
And it's super easy, y'all. Like, definitely try it. Just do 5 minutes. Even if you're, in your car,
Mhm.
in the middle of the day, maybe at the gym,
Mhm.
just try meditate just for 3 to 5 minutes. You can totally do it.
And
Then a couple times a week, I do sexual meditation. And this can be in a form of, touching my body, like
Mhm.
grabbing and squeezing certain parts, like my thighs,
Yeah.
to like feel sexual, right?
And
There's a
just
lot of
really
times.
giving that energy back to yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times people talk about like being sexual in the bedroom. In fact, you can cultivate sexual feelings and energy and like this like sexiness in yourself, like anywhere. You can
Yeah.
be meditating in the car and like grab your thighs and really kind of squeeze it while doing some breath work.
Mhm.
You feel really
Oh,
sexual.
Tara, it's hot again.
Yeah, that's what I do. And then I feel really sexual and I feel really good.
Yeah. No, I totally understand what you mean because in psychology back then we used to say, not everything is going to be a direct relation. So for example, you want to boost your sexual chemistry with someone, you're not going to just be with that person and be like, okay, let's be on lockdown and let's create something. It's not like that. It's very fluid. So
Yeah.
first of all, so the variables will be the people, right? So then when you go out there, when you're on your own, you do something that would boost your energy. But even though it's not a direct relation to the sexual chemistry or sexual energy with that person, but it's going to come out when you are with that person or even by yourself. A lot of times when we invest into our own hobbies or interests or whatever, like I love dancing.
Yes. And I
Heels,
love your
ballet.
dancing videos.
Thank you. I'm still
That is
trying
so
to learn
confident.
how to put on heels and do all those things, but I already love heels. Like even walking wise, I don't own really like many shoes, and people are always like, "Why? Why is that? Like you need to have shoes." But it's like I don't know. I'm pretty girly myself, so that I love wearing heels, and I
Uh-huh.
think that plus dancing and everything, I think the energy that femininity kind of just comes out.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm saying I want to be more feminine, so let me go do my hair this way or that way. It's in the little things that you invest your time in, and at the end, it builds that foundation for you. So I think it's the same with creating sexual confidence and energy and chemistry with your partner.
That's 100%. And it goes back to what I said before, like sex and sexual energy, it's 70% you, 30% your partner. Every time you're in a sexual encounter, think of my words. It's 70% you, 30% your partner.
I'll have your face in my head.
Really, a lot of it is inducing pleasure in your body. And I was just talking about this with my friend that, someone was saying like, yeah, I just don't think he was a good lover. I don't think he was doing it right.
Living on the other person. No.
Right. Because a lot of times when it comes to sex is the ability for women to induce the big O or
Right.
induce the pleasure in their organs. And a lot of it is working with your pelvic area.
Mm-hmm.
And I think dancing is a huge part of like moving your body and knowing your body.
Yeah.
So the myth that I want to believe is all dancers are great lovers.
I used to say that too. Yes.
Yeah, because they know their bodies really well. And one of the quotes that I really like, and I forgot who it's from. I know it's a female, and she said that there's no shortcut in life. There's no shortcut to happiness in life except for dancing. And I love dancing, like just even moving my body at home, being silly, playing my favorite song, and like just moving my body around.
Yeah. The energy is very different when you are in the zone, especially in dance. And I think in the bed, I mean, I used to compare this all the time, dance and sex, because when you're having sex with your partner, you're kind of also engaging in their energy and where they are, right? And then you're trying to be on the same page as them. So it's kind of like ballroom. It's kind of like any dance that you need partners for. And you're just really constantly being aware of yourself and the other person.
Oh,
yeah. And then it comes a lot of like, the communication comes in. Mm-hmm. So how do we have better sexual communication?
Sexual communication is extremely important for long-term sexual satisfaction. Mm-hmm. If you want to have a happy sex life in the long run, I mean, for the rest of your life, really, you really should practice sexual communication and becoming a better communicator in that arena. Mm-hmm. The first thing that I would say that you should do if you're in a relationship is to have sex talks, just to normalize having sex talks in your relationship before it's too late. There's a lot of people, and again, there's never too late if you are willing to change and try, right? Yeah. But like there are
the other person's feelings too.
Well, yeah,
they might think it's them, but it's not. You're just trying to communicate.
Right. Yeah. So the first thing to do is to practice having sexy check-ins. Mm-hmm. Regular sexy check-ins. So what are sexy check-ins? It's just like a relationship check-in, like how are you feeling about our relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Similar, like how are you feeling about our sex life?
Like and honestly, and have an open talk, heart-to-heart conversation.
Yeah. And if you want to prime it with like, hey, like I just want you to know, really love you. I think everything's going really well. And just like one thing about the relationship that I wanted to check in is our sex life. And if you're not sure how to respond, maybe do like from 1 to 10. Like, for this last month, like, how would you rate our sex life from 1 to 10?
I'll be like, be careful what your answers are.
I would honestly tell the truth. Like if I feel like my partner was, being too busy, too consumed with work, we don't have good enough intimate time, I'll say 6.5. Because I don't think I would say I don't think there was attention on me and on like our sex life. And the thing is, when you do sexy check-ins enough time, and we're talking long-term relationships, right? If you start, let's say you're dating someone and you're about 6 months to 1 year in, start doing it.
Is that long-term?
Well, once you're dating someone after 6 months, is really something that you should be considering is having sexy check-ins and kind of ensuring this kind of like sexual satisfaction from both people, right? A lot of people have been in a relationship 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years.
Without talking about it.
Never had a sex talk.
Wow.
Yeah. Like then how do you know that your partner is having great sex? Well, she says she finished, or she said it was good, or he sounded like it was good, right? Like that's all. Yeah, it's all assumptions and it's not certainty, right? Not like making sure your partner is really having a good time in the relationship when it comes to sex. So sexy check-ins is the number one sexual communication practice for all couples.
And I think that leads to like that leads to new activities too. Yeah. Like, hey, what do you think about trying this or trying that? And I think a lot of times, for example, it's important to know your soft limits and your hard limits, especially women. Men might say, I want you to be open to trying new things, or women. It's important to know what your hard limits are. It's sometimes when you say no, it's not because you're not willing to try new things, but because that is one thing that you don't like. The worst thing ever is you don't like it, but you're gonna fit yourself into this image of, I want to be able to be open and try new things. So I said yes. That's codependency. And you don't need to, put yourself in that kind of uncomfortable situation just to please your partner. And then in return, your sexual satisfaction is going to be maybe below, like negative.
Yeah. Oh, totally. There are, I mean, one epidemic in women is people pleasing behavior. Yeah, like I guess I'll do that because it makes everyone feel good. I guess I'll try this new sex thing because it makes my partner feels good, right? Or I don't know how to say no, or I'm afraid he will not love me if I said no. Really, people pleasing behaviors is an epidemic among women.
Right.
So yeah, communication is huge. Then how do you deal with kind of mismatched fantasies, right? What if your partner wants to try a new certain sex thing and you're like, oh, that's kind of a hard limit, but how do you communicate and compromise? It takes creativity in a couple to find kind of a solution to a desire that
right.
Yeah, baby steps and communication, really like communicating, why is it a hard no? I think your partner does deserve some explanations, right? Especially in long-term relationships, in casual sex relationships, like
I've actually only had long-term relationships, like 4 years, 6 year, 2 year, like, I mean, that's my whole life pretty much.
Yeah, most women I know are like that.
Yeah, I've never had like casual things or like one night stand or anything like that. What do you think about this whole like ghosting and zombie nowadays?
Yeah, I think ghosting is a behavior that's based on people who are perhaps not courageous enough to have a truthful conversation with someone they perhaps didn't have a good experience with and don't want to see again. I'm going to be vulnerable here and admit I have ghosted someone before. And, from someone who did it and someone who was also a receiver of it, it feels bad for both people.
Right,
The person that did the ghosting later on, if you have, conscience, you also realize like, oof, that was bad. Like that, I shouldn't have done that. I regretted it. I wish I had straightforward conversation with that guy. But I did it and like hurt his feelings, and that was not cool. And I think that it takes a lot of awareness to realize like that's not a good behavior.
Yes.
Being a receiver reminds me of like, wow, sometimes people are selfish and they engage in these behaviors because it feels easier for them rather than being courageous. And so
and sometimes it comes out of being, like I don't want to get too much into the whole mental health and be like, oh, it's like an avoidant personality, because they might not be an avoidant person in other aspects of life, but somehow this sexual encounter perhaps triggered them in some way, and then they just thought, like you said, it was easier to just do this.
Send one text saying like, hey,
sorry, it didn't work out.
I didn't have a good time last night. Just want to be honest with you. We'll probably not see each other again. Have a great life.
Have a great life.
Like, no, but at least that's what I'm going to do from now on, I mean, I'm in a relationship now, but like if I'm ever actively dating again and I don't like someone or I didn't connect with someone, I would just text them like, I'm probably not going to see you again, but really like I wish the best for you. Like I hope you whoever you want to become.
Whoever you want to become. Listen to my podcast and my book and my
First buy my book, then you can become a better lover.
No, but really,
maybe we'll talk again.
But really, I think the way to do this, relationship, sexual relationship, mental, whatever, physical, is to move with solidarity. Like you start something, you end something, you finish something good, and then you make sure that both people are good, and then you move on. It's not something, even if you don't care about the person enough to do it for yourself.
Yeah, totally. There are a lot of people that are in long-term relationships, and maybe that relationship has ended somehow without a full conversation or without a full understanding. I understand that point for a lot of people where they're trying to respect the other person's space and time. But I do think that for everybody, having an open conversation about something typically result in something really good. right? Maybe it seems negative at first, like crying or anger or disappointment. But at the end of the day, maybe you needed to release all of that.
Yeah.
Maybe you needed to release all of these things that you suppress inside to come out as a polite person, as a nice person, as someone who doesn't want to hurt the other person's feelings.
Like do
But
it for
at the
yourself.
end of the day, that open and honest conversation will always result in something good at the end.
Right. But what if you're the only one, and this is probably private, what if you're the only one that's coming from this like open and honest heart to heart conversation, and the other person is still very closed off? But I mean, I guess at the end of the day, like you said, right, you still did it and do it for yourself. And if that person is still not accepting of it, then that's on them.
Right. It is. It really is. You can't fix anybody.
Right.
And a lot of times, people ask me like, how do I talk to a partner who is closed off? Or how do I have a conversation with a defensive partner? People are very vulnerable. Like people are very sensitive about it because it's a part of your identity. Like your sexual identity is deep down inside. It's like a part of who you are. And when someone raises an issue, it becomes like, whoa, what is wrong with my identity? It's a big deal. There's two main reasons. One is they feel like it's attacking a part of their identity, which is a deep-rooted issue. And then two is they don't want anything to disrupt what is normal.
No, I see. So they're holding on to their safety net.
Yeah. When you suggest a new thing, that disrupts normalcy. And people are very afraid of trying new things because they like what they feel normal in, comfort. So if you're like, oh, we should try role play, we should try to go to a hotel and like go to the bar and not know each other and approach me and then have sex.
Is that what you do?
Yes. Like a lot of people are like, well, that sounds like too elaborate. Like what's wrong with what is going on right now? Right? Nothing is wrong. It's trying new things. Right? And I always give this analogy, like, don't you want to try like all kinds of good food?
Yeah.
Or are you okay with eating one thing every time, all the time for the rest of your life? Yeah.
And like, they're like, oh, you're right.
Yeah, let's say spaghetti. Like, do you want to eat spaghetti every single day for the rest of your life?
Or the same way, same flavor.
Exactly. Yeah.
Al dente every time.
Exactly. Same sauce. Like, no. Like you would want to try other things. You would want to try the fried rice. You would want to try steak. You would want to try different things. So like, why not with sex? Whenever you recommend something new or even just talk about like, hey, can you do so and so like less or more? People become very defensive because it's part of like, ooh, like what's wrong with me?
Did I do it wrong?
Yeah. Like wrong with the person, and then like, why are we changing what is normal? Yeah.
But I also feel like it's not a control issue, but like you said, they are holding on to their safety net and they feel safe doing the same thing every time because they already kind of expect the outcome and it's within grasp, so they know. But if they go outside of their comfort zone and try something new, they don't really know the outcome of it. They don't know how they're going to feel and they don't want any disappointment, any negative feeling, but then they don't think about what's on the other side of that. You could have amazing results of whatever, right? And also connection and the energy changes. And it's just so different because when you're exploring something new, just like playing house, like you're exploring another part of yourself and your partner.
Yeah.
And it's just so fun. It's like two kids playing, except you're adults, right?
Yeah, exactly. We should never stop playing.
Yes.
And I think that one of these days in the future, a lot of people will realize that what they believe in right now is perhaps a misguided belief, and that trying new things and being playful is great as adults. And don't rush. We are in an epidemic of rushing. We want to see results immediately.
Yeah.
Most things you won't see immediately, like drinking enough water. Right? Like you drink a lot of water one day and you're like, wow, how come my skin doesn't look better? Or how come I don't feel better? Like, it's not like that. Most things need cultivation.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's the first thing that the humankind need to understand is most things don't come that fast.
Except
for me. Adopting a growth mindset is a really important part of self-improvement in every aspect of life, including relationships, right?
So,
Yeah, when you try something new or when your partner suggests something new, maybe it's something to do within a relationship, maybe it's a date idea, maybe it's something related to sex. Don't take it defensively like something is wrong right now. Take it as in like, ooh, how can we enhance this already awesome relationship?
And learn together and learn more about each other.
Yes, a relationship is dynamic, right? And it can always like grow and evolve. And I'm not saying like consistently better because that assumes that the current is not good. But evolving and being dynamic is really the skill in being an intelligent lover, I would say.
So any tips for Valentine's Day?
Yes, I actually have prepared 3 tips for Valentine's Day for all of your followers. For couples first, try having the sexy check-in. So ask your partner, okay, like, yeah, for the last, I don't know, like 3 months, 6 months, like, how do you feel about our sex life? You know, jokingly say, can you rate it from 1 to 10? And then kind of have that conversation, open up with a good feeling like, I really love you. I really value our relationship. I just want to talk a little bit more about our sex life, right? And then kind of go into that. Number 2, try something new like tantric sex. So slow down, really using touch, really like cuddle, but like deep cuddle, right? Cuddle with intention.
And that tantric sex is the sex, it's not focusing on orgasms, right? I think that's
right. Yeah, it's about connecting and just feeling the pleasure without the goal.
And the presence of each other.
Yes, taking time, like looking at each other, cuddling, grabbing without thinking about like penetrative sex or orgasms. And then lastly, and I recommend people actually do this like every 3 months or maybe every 6 months anyways, but I think Valentine's Day is a great day to do it, is to write an adoration letter.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I do this regularly and my partner does too, is to write an adoration letter. And if you feel like I don't know how to start with this. I love it when you ... Yeah, and then just create like a list of 10. I love it when you do the dishes because I think it's very kind of you to help me out in the household. Or
but make sure not to put that on the first one. Like the first one should be, and then you sneak the dishes in there.
Sneak the dishes in like number 7. But like, I'm also like, yeah, like it's adoration about their behaviors and adoration about also like their energy and what they look like, right? People would like to be reminded that they're like, attractive.
Instead of criticizing them and saying what you're not doing right, how come you're not doing the dishes today, but saying, I like that, yes.
Yes, I love it when you ... or like, I love looking into your eyes. You have beautiful eyes. I love it when you, play with your hair. I love it when I love watching you go to the gym. I love when we cook together. I love it when you do these secret dancing in the bathroom. So like, just a letter of adoration. Like, what do you love about this person? Or what do you love about how they look? What do you love about their energy? What do you love?
I like that because I think no matter what their love language is, this is really for everybody. It's a really nice love reminder.
Valentine's tips for those who are single. Number 1, embody pleasure, right? Really feel your body, feel really good about your body, maybe play with yourself and induce pleasure in yourself. It's very empowering. Number 2, I would write a love letter to yourself. Why are you a badass woman? You look great in this dress, or like your hair is amazing, or like you have a great smile. And lastly is to show affection to your friends. I think a lot of times we take close friendships for granted.
Yeah.
They're always there for us. This is my best friend. Of course, she's always there for me, right? But like, when was the last time you truly spend time appreciating them as who they are and what they do?
And it's so important to count your blessings too, so that you're constantly reminded and be mindful and just aware of your surroundings and then the people that are constantly giving you love and support. Anything else that you wanted to suggest to our audience?
My like feel good, like self-care, self like beauty practices.
Self-care.
It's definitely making sure I drink enough water.
Yes.
Like people just don't drink enough water in general. I
Your
know
skin is
myself.
so good and glowy,
Oh,
like
thank
on camera and in person.
Oh, thank you so much. It's glowy, like you mean lit?
Like my product.
Yes, I definitely
Yes.
use lit, but also I think places that people don't use as much is like neck and like on top of their breasts.
Like upper chest area.
Yeah, it feels really good. I do it when I like watch a movie at home or like watch,
Yeah,
watch TV. I kind of just
that's
like
really good.
yeah. A lot of times I think when we get older, we take care of our face a lot, right? But we take
Yes.
care of our neck and like the top of our chest.
And
And I think
you get wrinkles here. It's a real
that's
thing.
like my important part is like making sure I don't just do this, but I also care about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I make sure I meditate every single day, at least 5 minutes. That's my number one self-care, self-beauty. Like it makes me feel beautiful that I can stay calm and serene. And I think it reflects on it reflects on like how I feel about my body as well as like my skin.
And I really think the meditation is really helpful because I used to think, you can only meditate at home, somewhere quiet. But earlier you mentioned even in the car, 5 minutes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I have meditated like almost everywhere. I've meditated in a park. I've meditated in a gym where they're playing like EDM. I just put in my headphones, listen to a guided meditation, close my eyes and stay still for 5 minutes.
If you really want to do something, you can really do it anywhere.
Yeah, you can do it in a bathroom. Because a lot of women told me, well, I have 3 kids running around. Like I have no time to meditate. I'm like, that's not true. You do have 5 minutes in the bathroom. It's just how you use the time, right? Yeah. If you have time to play with your phone or watch Netflix, like just pass out literally 3 to 5 minutes. You do have this time.
And I think the busier you are, the more you need to make time to meditate.
Totally. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just on the go, like running like chicken without their heads.
You're a hamster. You're a modern society hamster, and you just run nonstop.
Yeah,
it's not sustainable.
Thank you so much, Tara. So how do we learn more from you? Just, you know what, learning from you is not even just about the sex and relationship and dating, but for women, I think it's huge for self-care, self-growth, and confidence, self-esteem, how to boost it, how to develop it, how to strengthen it. So if we're not taking your classes in Cal State Fullerton, like where else can we see you?
Yes. So my website is lovebites.co, LUVBITES.co, as well as my social media. So my Instagram is lovebites.co, my TikTok is lovebites.co. And I drop a lot of sex and relationship truth bombs on those channels.
And I love your like short stories and reels.
Yeah. Just reminders and small
teachings,
like small lessons about sex and confidence and relationships. I also have a sexual mindfulness journal. That's really, really good in just learning to cultivate your own sexual energy.
Can we download that?
Yes. That's on my website as well. So definitely visit my website, lovebites.co.
Yay. And also your podcast.
Yes, my podcast.
Yes.
My awesome podcast where I have amazing conversations with sexperts from around the world and people who just have really amazing like life stories when it comes to relationships and sex. Definitely check out my podcast called Love Bites by Dr. Tara.
Thank you so much, Tara.
Thank you, Janice.
Thank you. And I'll see you soon after you come back from Montana.
Yes.